Hey guys, long time no see. Thank you for watching the Rainbow and Bloom channel. I'm Melissa, and I wanted to come on here today to share some pretty exciting information that came out earlier this year and it was kind of republished in like what do you call it, like public relations press release last week, the 13th. And it's some pretty exciting news about the potential for a cure, dare I say, or at the very least, really effective treatment for scleroderma that should be free of adverse side effects. And it's something that already exists in your body. I'm going to tell you about this. I'm so excited. Stay tuned. So, Johns Hopkins University has an amazing scleroderma research center. They do a lot of great work on scleroderma. And recently they published, earlier this year, back in March, April, they published some research on a protein that they found is very effective in reversing scleroderma in mice. So about 16 years ago, researchers at Mayo Medical School were looking into a protein that is known to kill cancer cells. In fact, they expected it to become an effective treatment for cancer because it kills cancer cells while leaving the healthy cells alone. And so, they did all this research, but then they found that it was actually not effective for cancer for different reasons, different types of cancers and all that. So it wasn't effective in humans. And so they abandoned the research. And one of the things that they found in that research was that this protein actually kills off fibrotic cells in the liver. So the liver cells that become atrophied and fibrotic, like with scleroderma, it kills those cells and it leaves the healthy cells alone. That protein is called TRAIL. Now, they abandoned this research and it's bad news for cancer patients, but it's the answer to a million prayers for every scleroderma warrior, their parents, their friends, their neighbor, their clergy, their ancestors. Everybody's been praying for something, and this could be the answer to those prayers. Because during, routine research into the scientific literature at Johns Hopkins, one of the members of their lab department found this study. And so they decided to look further into it and do some research of their own and build on what was already discovered. So this TRAIL thing, what is TRAIL? TRAIL is a protein that the body already produces, and it is one of the proteins that helps with responding to inflammation and healing wounds in the body. So it already does that. It's already a natural thing in our body. And so since it's already in our body, it could really be a way to develop a drug that treats the condition without having adverse side effects if they could, make it effective. If they could figure out a way for it to target those cells. Because I have a question about this. My question is, and I'll tell you why, if it's already in our body, it already kills fibrotic cells, why is scleroderma even a thing? Like, if it's already there, why is it not working? So one thing that the researchers at Johns Hopkins did was, they found that the original protein TRAIL was a bit unstable and everything, so they had to, do something else. So they figured out a more potent version of the protein. It's more potent and it stays in the body longer. And it's called TY012. TY012 is the protein that they have been testing on mice. So first, they tested this TY012 in skin cells in a petri dish, how they usually do in the lab. So they got skin cells from patients who had scleroderma and patients who didn't have scleroderma. And first they wanted to see if trail and the other proteins associated with healing and inflammation is present in the skin, and they found that the people who had the skin that was affected by scleroderma had high levels of those proteins, whereas the patients or the skin of the patients who didn't have scleroderma had much lower levels of those proteins. And that makes sense because the body isn't trying to fix something, especially something that's not even there. So that makes sense. Okay, so then they found that they also treated cells called human dermal fibroblasts. Human dermal fibroblasts. And they started dying off also after about 6 weeks. So far, so good in the petri dish. So the next step, of course, is to test on, you got to test on flesh, something human or something alive. And that's those poor little mice. They had to test the mice. There's no other way. So they tested 2 different types of mice. One type of mice, they injected with some godforsaken compound that induces inflammation. So they caused the mice to have fibrotic skin, inflamed skin. So they injected the mice for 3 weeks with this, then let the inflammation develop. And then for 3 weeks after that, every other day, they treated some of the mice they treated with this TY012. And then they compared the ones that did not have the treatment with the ones that were treated. And of course, the ones that were not treated got worse. But the ones that were treated, the inflammation went down. They got much better. Those inflamed cells, I don't know why I can't talk today, but those cells started to die off. So in the mice, as far as inflammation is concerned, it was effective. The second set of mice, they induced scleroderma specifically without inflammation. So just the the atrophy and all the other horrible things, just not the inflammation. And it developed over 5 weeks. And then at 5 weeks old, so it developed over the first 5 weeks of that's my printer, first 5 weeks of this mice's life. And then, so they took some of those mice, and after the 5 weeks, for 5 weeks every other day, they treated with the TY012 and then compared. And of course it showed, which is a great thing for us, not so much the mice, but it showed that the mice treated with the TY012 had much improvement, softening of the skin. They could see that those cells were dying off. And of course, the mice who weren't treated, the end of that story. So that's the thing. So, this is really exciting because this could be a real turning point for this illness that has no known cure. I'm gonna call this a cure. You gotta speak things into existence. You know what I mean? This could be a cure, an actual cure. It reverses the signs of scleroderma. It kills off those cells. And, if they tried in humans, who knows? It could actually be a cure. So there's a little bit more to this story, and I'm going to read it off a piece of paper because I want to get it right. Dr. Suki Lee, who was, I guess, the lead in the faculty that's overlooking this study, him and other faculty at Johns Hopkins, they formed a company that is going to, or I guess currently is developing, working on developing a drug. And so it has funding from the National Institute of Health, Small Business Innovation Research Program to develop trail as a drug. And so at some point they'll have to test it on humans, right? Now this sounds like it's, it could be safe and effective, like honestly safe. Not like they say about drugs sometimes. For real safe and effective because it's already in our bodies. But they can make it work for us. It's because it's not working right now. It's there, but it's not working. I don't understand this, but I'm not a scientist. So I have a question for you. If you got a call, like, hey, you want to come be part of this study? Would you sign up? Would you volunteer to be a test subject for Johns Hopkins to see if TY012, aka trail, could be an effective drug in reversing scleroderma in human beings? Would you sign up for free, for a prize, for per diem? Would you sign up to do this? I know what my answer would be, but I want to know what your answer would be. Let me know in the comments. And if you have not yet, my book, How Death Saved My Life, is available on Amazon right now, paperback and Kindle. And I just want to remind you, don't believe your circumstances. See, don't believe your circumstances. Because, there's so much more. It's like I've been telling you all these years, there's so much more that we cannot see than we can see. So just believe in yourself and stay positive. And I will talk to you again soon. All right, take care.